end of the day, we have to remember they are fellow Malaysians. So they are really oppressed, and because they are oppressed, it is easy to vote by. You can't blame them. I don't blame the people at all. And they are kept in that situation so that they can be oppressed. And we as fellow Malaysians must speak up against this kind of oppression.
That the government of Sarawak probably thinks that maintaining itself in power is part of the security of the federation, part of the security of the state. But that is not true. That is a gross abuse of the constitution.
The video is the latest evidence of vote buying that we have collected, and actually the election is not over yet, so we are still collecting a lot of evidence, and we might suspect that if we collect more and more evidence, then maybe they're leading some of the people who are not happy about whether it's Sarawak, and they might explain why our responded along with the people. So this particular video is only 1.5 minutes. Because it is a very difficult to get video, it's actually about the longhouse resident distributing money, distributing cash in the longhouse. So you don't expect this video to be, you can get so easily, because most of the media or even observer don't go to the rural area to look at the election. And that's what we have been doing. We have been going to the rural area to look at the election which is not covered by most of the media and observer. And this is one of the video which is in Tamin constituency, which is quite a rural constituency, and in a place where there is no electricity. You can see the light is with the candle, and also where there is regular flooding, things like that. So our observer managed to get just a very short clip of how they distribute money on the house. What we call that, it's disappointing that actually, even with this kind of evidence, there has not been an election petition to challenge the election result.
Volumes as to why ON was sent back from Sarawak, because there's a gathering of this information. Clearly, there are people who are getting very nervous about the evidence that is being gathered. Now, I'm going to hand you first to ON. I think the first part of this press conference is about his deportation. As you know, several activists were already sent back prior to the elections, and now with all this deportation, I think it is time that Malaysians started asking questions as to why this is happening. What is it they're afraid of? But of course, the answer, one of the answers lies in the video that you all just saw. I think this is something that we need to, this is the kind of evidence that we need to gather, and that we will of course send it to the authorities for what it's worth. I find it very difficult to believe the authorities didn't know this was happening. But for what it is worth, I think we'll gather all this evidence, send it to the Election Commission, and let's see what happens. And failing action, we will probably have to arrange for police reports to be made in Sarawak. But as Ong says, the disappointment is that there's no election petition, despite such clear evidence of cheating that has taken place. I'm now going to hand you over to Ong, and then you can ask him questions, after which I will deal with the issue of the BERSIH event.
My name is Ong Kyong. I am the coordinator for Malaysian election of the next June. I was reported 2 days ago on the 24th of May in a very surprising manner. I arrived in Sarawak through Selangor Airport on the 21st. It is the last Sunday. I was given 90 days entry permit. So I'm a perfectly legal visitor to Sarawak. And I was going to the Bengal Dam to do a field visit on the 4th of May for a particular reason. I'll explain to you later why. I arrived at the place with 2 other friends around 10:40. So we were ahead of time, so we just crossed the border. We just waited there for the guide to turn up. And when the guide turned up at 11 o'clock, and surprisingly, 5 vehicles also suddenly pull up at the security post, and then about 20 people from the immigration department appear from the car, and then they said to me that from your immigration record, you are not supposed to be in Sarawak, so you have to come with us to answer some question at the immigration department. So I showed them the 90 days entry permit, and they just snatched it, and I've never seen that again. But my 2 friends were left to continue with the trip, and basically just to let you know why we go to Bengal. Basically, Bengal is one of the hot seats in the election, and there is a good reason for that, because there is a dam being built there, and the impoundment of the dam has been delayed just because of the election. Because even mainstream academy were suspecting that the voter will vote opposition because of the dam issue. So when the election result come out, surprisingly, there was no loss of support for the BN. And so as the election observer, we would like to know whether there is any foul play involved. I mean, it's fair enough for them to vote according to their wishes, so long the election is free and fair. If it's not free and fair, then we have a cause to investigate. So what happened is, before we could uncover the reason, then it's just so very coincidental of the timing that we are stopped in our track. Well, anyway, so after I was brought to the immigration department enforcement unit in Penang, I was not investigated at all. In fact, I was asked to go there to answer some questions. We waited 4 hours until about 4 o'clock. Then only they took a statement from me. All the statement they asked from me was really about our activity as election observer, which is actually a road report. We compile a report and send to the election commission. There is no what do you call it? Nothing that I have mentioned to them, which is not in the newspaper or in our report. So I told them, if you want to get a copy of the full report, and you know exactly what we do. And we are going, after this election, we also will be compiling another report for the 10th Sarawak State election. So that's what we have been doing. So after about half an hour of taking a statement, about 5 pages, I can tell you even the election commission was sympathetic to us, because we are doing a voluntary job and over about 1.5 years to look at the election, and we fought for fraud and also So even the election commission officer are not so sure what is going to, why we are subjected to that kind of treatment. We cannot tell a reason at all. And after that, I finished the statement, then they asked me to wait for a while. And then around about 5 o'clock, then they said that, okay, another officer will see me. And then she did not say anything, just said two things. One is that our superior decided to report you, they have the power. Not because they have their reason, but they have the power. And then the other thing is, you should pay for your own ticket. So I told her, if I were to buy a ticket at this time, it will be more than 400 or 500 ringgit. So I've never paid that much for a ticket to go back to Kuala Lumpur because I always plan my trip ahead. So I told them, also if I buy a ticket, actually I was never charged for anything, but I willingly go back.
Yeah.
So I said I won't ever buy it. So then they discussed among themselves, and then finally decided to pay for the ticket. So it took a long time to buy a ticket. They finally buy the ticket for 8 o'clock flight, so then I was on the plane and then fly back at 10 o'clock. So that is more or less the process of it. And before that, basically, just now, if you look at the statement, here is a list of the evidence of buying, corruption, intimidation that we have compiled. So this is the latest we have got. And if you stay longer in the law, I'm quite sure we will run into a few other evidences which the residents are quite keen to tell us. Okay, thanks.
Apart from the fact that, of course, there's a total abuse of power here in the way in which they either throw West Malaysians out or they prevent West Malaysians from going in. And of course, you don't hear anyone making a comment about this. Anyone in authority, no one seems to think there's anything wrong with this, except civil society. Now, the manner in which they handled Boon Kiong, I mean, I don't think he's that scary that they needed to send 20 immigration officers to drag him off. But it shows you, it is really shows you how they use the power that they think that they have. So it is abuse of power in what they do, it is also abuse of power in the way in which they do it. And I think we must protest, and this is where we ask for the press to highlight all these offences that are written here. They're facts, and I think Malaysians have a right to know what's happening there. And this is only scratching the surface, as Boon Kiong says. And you understand why they wanted to throw him out. It must have something to do with the work, with the evidence that he has unearthed. So with that, I invite the press to address questions to Boon Kiong.
At the moment, we are talking to our lawyer in Sarawak, so it looks like Sarawakian lawyers are very keen to challenge the deportation because there are a number of suspicious circumstances. One of them is, even though I'm sitting here with you, I cannot produce a piece of paper to say that I've done anything wrong. I've been asked not to go back to Sarawak. I have done anything in terms of immigration to leave a bad record. There's no evidence. Everything is just oral. We are back to the oral society of the old time as far as the immigration department is concerned. So this is one of those things that is very unsatisfactory. And then the second thing is actually is that in this age and time, I believe any kind of power need to come with certain accountability and transparency. So they have never really justified. In fact, they never even named the charge against me, never justified, never defended it. And so I think they owe us an explanation and also to provide some kind of a clarity on what policy do they deport people from Sarawak.
Unlike, if I could add there, unlike, for example, when some of the other activists, including myself, when we were stopped, we were issued with a notice. Nothing was issued. Am I correct? Nothing was issued. He doesn't know why he was sent out. So I want to know how it is possible that authorities can do that with absolutely no reason given, no accountability whatsoever. And I'm not sure how it is that the authorities in Sarawak think they can get away with this as they have been doing for so many years, it's time we put a stop to it. I can tell you, as far as my case is concerned, I have filed suit in court. And I have already filed, yes. I filed it here in Kuala Lumpur on the basis that the Director General of Immigration has overall responsibility. And therefore I have filed it in West Malaysia. Boon Kiong is probably going to file it in East Malaysia. And Boon Kiong will be filing soon in Sarawak. I think we have to keep challenging these things. But as I say, I hope the press will highlight that the manner in which it was done is important to highlight. Alright, if you look at the Act, alright, and if you look at the Malaysia Agreement, there are certain instances in which they have the right to restrict. But those are, what we would be arguing is, those are very extreme circumstances. It's not to stop West Malaysians going in as and how they feel, without giving you a reason. I decide I don't like your face, I stop you going in. That's the abuse that is taking place at the moment. And you can see from the way the numbers were stopped just prior to the elections and Boon Kiong being sent out, it's all connected with the elections. What are they hiding is my question. What is it they're afraid of? So what I'm saying is it's a complete and utter abuse of power to stop West Malaysians with absolutely no grounds.
Particularly, I think we should understand why we are so concerned about vote-buying integration and also whatever that unfairly influence the election result. Because an election is a peaceful mechanism for a society to elect its leaders. So without that, we are looking at non-peaceful means of changing of power. So I think in comparison, I think we should defend to our best capacity peaceful means of change of power. So in Sarawak, what we are witnessing is we have a ruling party which is engaging in all manners of unfair means to obtain the election. So when they are doing that, what they are saying to the world implicitly is they don't care if they obtain the power against the will of the people. That basically fundamentally contradicts the aim of the election. So that's the reason why we want to make sure if there are this kind of contradiction. If there is a contradiction, the very serious result is the election is not acceptable. It's not going to be recognized if the world know about the kind of corruption that goes on. And I can tell you in election around the world, there have been some elections where the results are not recognized because the election process is deeply flawed. And we are looking at one at the moment. And that is the reason why they are so damn serious to stop people digging out the information.
And I think we have to appreciate, and which is why highlighting what happened in Sarawak is important. There are many people there who are very oppressed. Unless we help them, this oppression is going to continue. This actually is evidence of oppression. Did you see the picture? They have candles, they don't have electricity. Many of the longhouses don't have water. How is it possible that Malaysians are living like that? At the end of the day, we have to remember they are fellow Malaysians. So they are really oppressed, and because they are oppressed, it is easy to vote by. You can't blame them. I don't blame the people at all. And they are kept in that situation so that they can be oppressed. And we as fellow Malaysians must speak up against this kind of oppression.
I just want to go back to the legality of the action. I mean, Datuk Miga has already said that she has already filed a legal challenge to it, and Boon Kiong will probably do so as well. And in the past, other people have also been excluded, not just around this election time, but also in the past. In the federal constitution, the phrase that is used is to protect, or whenever the security of the federation or any part thereof is threatened. That is the context in which all these laws are permitted. You have a law, but the law must stand in agreement or in consonance with the federal constitution. That is the provision. So any law that is in contravention of the constitution must be struck down as being unconstitutional. Now the context of the federal constitution is in terms of national security, right? So the question that we have to ask is, what is Boon Kiong doing? What is Ambiga doing that is a threat to national security or to the security of Sarawak, right? Not to the security of tenure of the government of Sarawak. that is not the reason to use this act, right? It's not about keeping politicians in power. That's why I call security of tenure. The Constitution does not talk about keeping governments in power. It talks about the security of the Federation and any part thereof. And I challenge the Sarawak government to tell the Malaysian public and the world at large, what exactly did Boon Keong do? What exactly did Ambika do? What exactly did Syed Ibrahim do? What Haris Ibrahim did? And Wong Chin Huat? And also in the past, environmental activists, what have they done to threaten the security of the state of Sarawak, as opposed to challenge the security of tenure of the Sarawak government? Right? The line between one and the other has been so blurred and so confused that the government of Sarawak probably thinks that maintaining itself in power is part of the security of the Federation, part of the security of the state. But that is not true. That is a gross abuse of the Constitution. And I welcome the opportunity to have the ambit of the law tested in court so that further abuse can be prevented. Thank you.
You need to highlight how oppressed some of the people in Sarawak are, as compared to, I think you all would have read the Chief Minister arriving in a Rolls Royce to vote. How does that compare with the video that you just saw of longhouses that don't even have electricity and water? That's the disparity that we are talking about. So when we talk about what's happened to us, we are actually talking about the oppression of many of the people in Sarawak, particularly in the inland areas. And I think we cannot sit quietly and allow that to carry on. There's an arrogance with which they are handling these issues, and I think they should be called to account.
Well, basically, I think the issue here is like this. The politicians are very confident of committing all this fraud and vote buying and so on, because they know that the agency are not going to take action. And at the moment, we know the Election Commission have no investigation and prosecution power, and on their account, they have asked the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Agency to do the necessary. But unfortunately, the MACC has on record said that they only enforce the Anti-Corruption Act and not the Election Offences Act. So as a result of this standoff between the two departments, so there's nobody actually overseeing the Election Offences Act. So that means the politician will seize upon this opportunity to do anything that is not allowed under the Election Offences Act. So that is the kind of the legal framework why that is happening. But that doesn't mean that our work is futile, because I can tell you, if more people know about the evidence that we have collected, a lot more people will become less tolerable about this kind of corrupt practice, and a lot more people will call into question what kind of government that we have in Sarawak, where they don't, obtain their mandate by fair means.
Perhimpunan Rakyat that we intend to organize. You would have all read that PAS made an announcement recently on that. I want to make one thing very clear. This is a BERSIH 2.0 initiative. It is a civil society initiative. It is not an initiative of the political parties. We have called, because they offered, several people offered, we have called on the help of several NGOs, representatives of NGOs, and some political parties, including PAS, because PAS has got experience in organizing such functions. And that is the extent of their involvement. But as far as organizing it, determining the details of the Perhimpunan, it will be BERSIH 2.0, led by civil society, who will be making all those decisions. And we intend to invite all political parties, including Barisan political parties, all NGOs, to join us in this Perhimpunan And my invitation is to all the politicians, all those in authority, to walk with the Rakyat. To walk with the Rakyat, and because it is a walk to advance the cause of democracy. That's basically what the aim of this is. We want to gather, we want to show that we are serious about free and fair elections, that we are serious about strengthening our institutions and the integrity of the institutions, and we want to take a stand against corruption. Nobody can dispute that all these three are matters that are in the interest of society. They are in the public interest. So we would invite all politicians from all political divides to join us, to join the Rakyat, to push for this very noble agenda. I can make the announcement now. Anyone is welcome to join us. Anyone is welcome to help us organize it. So the invitation is open, but we will be writing formal letters to all parties to join us. We have always said that this is something we will do as a last resort. If we feel that engagement is not working, that we will want to take this step. I believe engagement is not working. You look at the blatant offences that took place in Sarawak, and nobody wants to take action. If they are closing their eyes, they don't want to know that this is happening. Alright? So that is a step that was always on the cards. Now, let me say this as well. There's nothing wrong with us gathering. It's alright. All we're doing is exercising a constitutional right that we have to peaceful assembly. We are going to inform the police that this is where we will be, and we're going to be open. I mean, all the details will be out there. Everybody will know exactly what we're doing. And we will be asking the police to help us, to control the crowd or whatever it is. So yes, we will be informing the police. Well, no one has, I know that that's the suggestion. As I say, we haven't actually finalized all the details. This is a work in progress. Well, let's see what suggestions they give us. We will consider all suggestions. Well, PAS has announced 100,000. That was not our expectation. Certainly, as far as civil society is concerned, it could be any number, a few hundred to a few thousand. So it's very hard to tell. It really depends on how strongly people feel about it. So I think it will be very hard to anticipate what the crowd will do. We can't prevent it. We can only be as honest as we can with all the authorities. We're not hiding anything. And we can also say to them, this is a peaceful protest. If they don't kacau us, nothing will happen. It will finish in a matter of, they allow us to say our piece, in a matter of 1 hour, it will be over. If they're sensible, I think they should let us do. I would also add that it is the wrong move to clamp down on people having their say. I said that in the statement, it's time for the authorities to realize that things are changing worldwide. Not listening to the Rakyat is a big mistake. It is hostile, yes, and I'm inviting them not to be hostile. It is our BERSIH's invitation to our politicians to please change the way they view such gatherings, and to view it positively, and to walk with us, with the Rakyat. Be with us. Because what we're asking for is, as I say, it's a very noble agenda. We will not back off. It is 9th of July, it's happening.
I think that we need to understand that seriously, this is actually our right to actually walk, and it is part of the freedom of expression. So, and I think that the least that the government could have responded is to actually be supportive and to ensure that the police actually do their duty. If you look at all the protests and the marches and all that, they have been peaceful. The arrest and the abuse has not been from the people, it has always been from the police. And so that, and it's not for the minister to actually tell you that have it inside the stadium and don't walk in the street. That is not for him to say, because this is really the riot's right to actually express ourselves. And before he even know what we are talking about, he has already issued a warning, and that is not right. Because if you look at our demands, it is very reflective of what is happening to Malaysia. I mean, the EC could have done a lot more in the Sarawak election, but they chose not to. The EC could have enforced its role and responsibility, but it chose not to. It chose not to actually take up all the cases where there have been irregularities. And you look at how MACC is handling some of the cases, and these are actually track record of our public institutions not taking the responsibility, not actually doing the duties that they have been empowered to do. And I think that it is, at this juncture, it is about time that the people actually say that it's enough. We do not want this to happen, nor continue to happen, and we have that right to express our opinions.
Oh, any citizens, this is a citizens' walk, so I have no issue with anybody coming and joining us at all. Most welcome. The Rakyat are the leaders. I have absolutely every confidence that even if they pick up the leaders or do anything to prevent us from going there, it won't make a difference. Because as far as I'm concerned, we're not really leaders, we are with the Rakyat. So the Rakyat are the leaders. We appreciate that that may happen. We'll have to think of something. Because really, I think what we want is for our message to go out. For our message to go out. And the message is very, very clear. And I think we will have to, if they do call early elections, think of another way in which to get that message across. That this next election, we really want it to be run differently. So we will find a way of getting that message across if the elections are called earlier. We're discussing that. We're just going to, because I think it's important to get this memorandum to the authorities. That's what we are planning to do. So it will be easy. We haven't decided how many people we're going to send this memorandum to. So we are discussing that. We never stop trying, I think. And we're hoping that they realize, look, no one ever thought that in Singapore there would be a response to the cries of the people, but there has been. In fact, let me say this, I'm impressed because in Singapore they actually allowed opposition parties to have rallies, all right, undisturbed. They have then subsequently, despite the fact that they won, they have responded to the cries of the people. So don't give up hope. Never give up hope. And I think it would be wise if our government and people in authority, or politicians, I'm saying, whether it's they're in government or they're opposition, they're in government, whichever state they're in, they must listen to the people. And I think you will see, if you look at Facebook and you read Twitter, there's a lot of frustration about the way elections are being conducted, about what happened in Sarawak, about corruption in this country, and about the fact that our institutions just rolling over and giving up. They're not actually standing in the way of abuses of power.
Can I add a word there? Actually, basically the response, there are two kinds of response. One is the politicians themselves take up the suggestion and change the law, which the BERSIH first part did not achieve the purpose. None of the demand were agreed to, but it has another response, it's a political response. People just vote out the politicians who don't take up the suggestions which are popular with the people. So I think either way, change is coming.
Just wanted to say two things about walks in general. Sometime in the middle to late March of this year, women's groups got together to organize a march to commemorate the 100th celebration of International Women's Day. I'm given to understand that the organizers informed the police of the march but did not seek to apply for a permit. The response from the police was to help the organizers of the march. They did traffic control, they followed the march all along its route from Central Market to Chinese Assembly Hall. They stopped the traffic in order for the walkers to continue the march. It was entirely peaceful, right? There were no arrests. The police actually cooperated with the organizers. Now, something perhaps a little bit more contentious, like environmental issues. Last Friday, you saw in Kuala Lumpur the march, the protest by the anti-Linus Save Malaysia campaign, right? Again, as far as I understand it, the police were notified that there was going to be a march, but again, no permit was applied for. Yes, there was a strong police presence. Some people would say a bit too much, right? But again, no arrests because it was peaceful and people were allowed to exercise their constitutional right to freedom of expression, right? They were out there in front of the Australian High Commission for about, I think, 2.5 hours, right? Having speeches and doing some chanting and things like that. That was fine. The police did not intervene. Right? All they did was to make sure that traffic was not held up too much and that generally there was safety in the area. So what it goes to show is that it is possible in Malaysia if the police want to. And of course the police will say kami hanya mengikut arahan dari atas. So then it comes from orang di atas. If there is the political will to allow for peaceful demonstrations, they can happen, right? When you talk about violence, the violence only comes when there is a lack of political will and there is an attempt to create a situation where the situation is made tense and the police feel that they have to arrest people, right? But it has been shown in the past, and I'm sure even in the walk that we are proposing, that it can be shown again in the future that it is possible for Malaysians who are now much more politically mature to be able to walk peacefully to demonstrate in favor of a particular protest. In this case, election reform and basically democracy and the right for clean and fair elections. In fact, I would ask, and I think this is the question, the invitation that Dr. Ambedkar said, I would ask the political parties who are members of government, why is it that you're not walking with us? You should be walking with us because this is something that the Rakyat feel very passionate about. And if you say that you are supporting the Rakyat, if you say that you are in favor of the Rakyat, then you should be with us because this is a deep-seated concern of the Malaysian people. And if you say that you have the interests of the Malaysian people at heart, then you should be with us.
Very easy for us to get the observers, and I think they were alerted anyway the last time, but EC has to give what they call accreditation, otherwise they can't go into certain restricted areas. That's the problem that we're having, and which is where you see, I mean, we've always maintained that if there's nothing wrong with your electoral system, you shouldn't have a problem with international observers coming in. So yes, we will keep pushing that, certainly, because one of the things for clean and fair elections, one of the items in our memorandum previously is for international. It will come because people will change. People will see that life can be a lot better, that life can be lived very honestly, without corruption. And I think more and more people are asking for that. So don't give up hope on our civil servants as well. Because you see, as Andrew pointed out, 2 instances, the police behaved exactly as we would want them to. I think it's creating an impact the world over, actually. And I would suggest that all oppressive regimes should really beware. Because once you start something like that, it won't stop. People feel they can make a difference, and that's what Egypt has shown us. So I think, the whole world is open up.